From snow spreading south into many areas in the south that just haven't seen it in a while, and a brutal cold. I've got a lot to talk about. Hi, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice. Please like this video. Let me know where in the comment section you're watching from right now. Subscribe and turn on those notifications. We've got a lot to talk about, including that surprise snow settling in for so many. In fact, as I look at the advisories and the warnings here, we've got some areas I'm a little bit concerned could have some slick spots going into early tomorrow morning. Now, it's not going to be for everybody, but it's certainly something to watch as we move forward here, as many of these areas have had a lot of snow pile up and kind of melt on contact, but then temperatures drop so fast that Asheville is a skating rink in some locations. So is Hendersonville. And then you got this snow that continues to be heavy at times across northeastern parts of Buncombe County. And then look at this, heading into Tennessee, there's still some snow. Not only that, but Myrtle Beach are just showing off at this point. You have gotten snow 2 years in a row, and this time in November. Not a lot, but snow's flying around. We've had flurries in and around Greenville, Spartanburg, and there's a lot of snow to have been had back here toward the northwest. And this lake-enhanced snow continues for you folks in Ohio, back through Indiana. Fort Wayne, you're just showing off again as well. This is that area I told you about that would be just enhanced by the lakes right here, and you bet it certainly is doing that. Been fun to watch the Monday Night Football game with what's going on in Green Bay. Certainly very cold. The snow has moved on out, but there's some more snow back through Minneapolis, Minnesota seeing some snow, and then it's enhanced back here through New York into Pennsylvania and the parts of the Northeast as we're going to continue to see some snow move up toward the north. Now, where do we go from here? That's the big question, because everybody, and I mean everybody, dipping down in some really cold levels. Now, once the snow moves out, it's just going to be brutally cold heading into the overnight hours. So let's map that out. Snow continuing for western North Carolina, parts of West Virginia, western parts of Pennsylvania, into Indiana and Ohio. But I think things shut off pretty well for us going into midday on Tuesday, and it's just all about the cold. Tomorrow is going to be a really cold day. Now, this is a very intense cold blast, but a short-lived cold blast. I don't see this having the staying power. This big dip in the jet stream gets on out of here, stays with us through Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, but by end of this week, many of us, including in the Northeast, are rebounding right back to the 60s and maybe even touching 70 degrees going in this weekend as a big ridge actually builds in. We could be above normal for a change, and our next cold blast wouldn't come in till we get closer to Thanksgiving. Now, that could make for some interesting Thanksgiving travel. See a couple of dips here, but a big ridge taking over through the 20th. Here it is toward the end of the month, our next big dip in the jet stream, and even then, doesn't look to be too pronounced. So right now it's about the cold, and we are going to have plenty of that. And no matter where you're watching from right now, we are going to have the cold just be really, really stout. Notice highs above us tomorrow in the 40s in many locations. No severe weather risk. That's the good news, is with this cool, stable air, we don't have a severe risk today, tomorrow. We're really moving forward over the next several days. That's the good news here, but it is going to be mighty cold in many, many locations. Abbeville, for example, just the area, your warmest day is going to be Saturday, so we get back to 70 degrees, but tonight you're dropping down to 25. That's a story for many of us, including Asheville and Hendersonville, Boone, up through many parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, Indiana, wherever you're watching from right now. Hold on tight. It's about to get very cold going into the overnight hours. Let's go town by town and look at that as we go into Monday night, Tuesday morning. Here we are, waking up to the 20s, the teens in many locations. Now, that is the actual temperature. Now, as we go throughout the day, temperatures rebound into the mid-40s. Now, it's going to be a seasonably cold day in Florida. We're talking 50s for highs. In western North Carolina, 30s and 40s, just way below where we should be. Then we drop down to around freezing yet again on Wednesday morning. But the peak of this cold blast is tonight, and it's when you combine that wind that is just oh so potent here. You know, already wind chill values in the single digits and heading towards sub-zero tonight. I do think many areas in these whites are going to be sub-zero when you wake up in the morning. Look at this, -1, 2, 3, -3 in Boone, Banner Elk, up through Beach Mountain, 11 in Asheville, 23 in Greenville, 20 in Charlotte, 18 in Atlanta. You go down here toward Florida, I mean, we're talking 20s, but there are pockets of Florida right in here. You see that? North Central Florida. We're talking about teens, 18, 19 degree wind chill. I mean, You moved to Florida to escape this nonsense, and here you are. Even South Florida getting into like 36, 37 degree range. It's going to be cold. I mean, I hope you have the heat on in many locations if you haven't already, because it is going to be cold. Now, tomorrow is not going to be any walk in the park. It's going to be a cold day. When you factor in the breezy conditions, at its warmest, here's the peak warmth. 55 in Orlando. You're going to the parks. Nice day, but you'll want a sweatshirt. 42 for Myrtle Beach. You lucky dogs getting some snow tonight. 39 for Charlotte. 38 in Asheville. 39 in Greenville. 40 at a peak warmth in Atlanta. You go up through New York, Pennsylvania. Where are you watching from in Ohio right now? Or my Ohio people? Indiana, Michigan. 20s. That's all that we muster up tomorrow. And then going deeper in the week here, I'll just kind of scrub through it. We kind of get cold again at night, rebounding, but slowly those highs are getting back closer to 70 degrees. By Saturday afternoon, lots of 70s in the Carolinas, Georgia, Florida, even getting into the upper 60s here in Ohio, Indiana. Northeast still locked in with some cold, and that's kind of where we leave things here. Folks, what I see here, including for Florida, is this big cold blast changing into some warm weather pretty soon. So, it couldn't stay that cold for too long. Here we are, 35, 36 for Miami. Even approach to the Keys, 50-ish, 63 for Key West. Look at all these 20s. Just nasty for Florida. I mean, come on. See that darker color right there? Those teens. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Here we are going into tomorrow afternoon. It feels like temperatures by Wednesday getting back to around 70. And then by the time we get into Thursday afternoon, we're pushing mid-70s, even pushing 80 degrees, dare I say. I mean, a really comfortable week ahead. Let's go to Saturday afternoon. There's Friday afternoon. And here's Saturday. There we go. Back in the 80s in Southwest Florida. 76 in Key West. 77 in Miami. Sarasota, Tampa, you're in the mid-70s. Panama City, about 70 degrees. But, folks, here's the deal. We're going to turn warm again after we flip this script and go from our cold weather back to above normal temperature. So wherever your town is, normal's probably sitting somewhere in the mid-50s. I think above normal is where we're heading, and I think that's going to be quite evident in many locations along the East Coast. So, folks, that's what I got cooking for you here tonight. We've got a lot to track in the coming days as we turn from this brutal, brutal cold and the snow that has moved south in so many different locations. Folks, if you appreciate this level of forecasting, please drop in the comment section where you're watching from right now. I'd love to give you a shout-out next video. Any kind of questions you have on the long-term pattern here. But it's been so fun tracking this snow that has moved in. And for many of you, you got to see the flakes flying around. Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, Charlotte, Atlanta, just about everywhere but my backyard. No joke. Seriously, folks around me had it. Clemson, Seneca, Asheville, lots of it. In fact, roads are pretty slick, so be careful driving around the Smokies and in western North Carolina, northbound. Even though it wasn't a lot of snow in some locations, it is a lot in many. We're looking at temperatures being so cold that just basically made the ground wet and it froze over. So that's kind of where we're sitting later tonight. So, folks, be safe out there, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.